Out to go unlimited racing again. And our next order of business here on our Go Live Sportscast will be Unlimited Heat 3A. The start time has been bumped to 3:10 Pacific time. Originally it was 3 o'clock, then 3:05. Now we believe that we really are going to go at 3:10. Here's the countdown to 5 to the 5. 3, 2, 1, mark. That is 5 to the 5, so in 5 minutes the boats will be leaving the pit area, pulling out onto the race course. Steve David, an interesting draw for Heat 3A. We have finally separated Jimmy Shane and J. Michael Kelly. They will not be racing here. Jimmy Shane will be in 3A in the 1 Oberto beef jerky. Art, got that in for you. The Home Street Bank, the 3, with Jimmy King driving, is in this heat. Jesse Robertson, the 7, Graham Trucking 2. Scott Liddycoat, a winner last time out in very impressive fashion in the 811 Dig, the 9 boat owned by Mike and Lori Jones. Tom Thompson in the 11, Peters and May. A good 5-boat field here for Heat 3A.
I was down, obviously, talking to officials about our fines last heat. We did very well financially, but I tell you, the Home Street is very excited about this heat, as is the 9. The 9 thinks they got more in that boat than they thought that they had. So does Home Street Bank. So you would think, based on what we've seen, that Oberto's got it, but it could be an interesting heat, or everybody's going to save it for the final. We're going to find that out this heat.
And Jimmy Shane in the Oberto just needs to finish the heat and not incur a 200-point fine of some kind.
Yeah, and he's a smart kid. I don't think he's going to do that. Some things, accidents happen, but he's a pretty sharp guy. He's going to stay clean, stay away from everybody. And I think, as you and I both said, I think they've won the national championship.
Last time out, Scott Liddycoat in the 9, the 811 Dig, and we should say hello. I'm sure Jerry Shaneth is watching back in Detroit.
Jerry's been a great help. Jerry's family, the Shaneth family, goes back, oh Lord, back to the turn of the last century, involved in this sport. His father and he and his brothers, and he got involved with 811 to help and brought the sponsorship on board, and they've been involved in the APBA Gold Cup in Detroit a long time, and great family, and we really appreciate Jerry's help and bringing 811 on board, and we hope 811 is excited and stays with us and becomes a national sponsor.
Well, it's always good news when companies like 811 and Home Street Bank got their feet wet a little bit in Detroit and said, hey, this isn't bad. We'll do this some more. And here they are with us way out on the left coast, and we are tickled to have them. And Jerry Shaneth, a tip of the H1 golf cap to you for the help you give us all year and for bringing the great 811 folks on board. And I'm sure all over America now the phones are lighting up every time somebody digs a hole in the backyard.
You do not want to hit live electric or live plumbing, but thank you, Jerry. We appreciate you, man.
And that, of course, is our goal. Flipping back a couple of years, that scene right there on your monitor would have included our own Steve David, who now is the chairman of H1 Unlimited, doing an outstanding job. The sport, obviously, alive and healthy. If you were here in San Diego, you'd say this is a glorious picture. We have some visitors, by the way, who have come by to say hi, who are seeing Mission Bay for the first time. It's really fun to watch the reactions because this is an impressive event visually, as far as the competition, the race action, and as I mentioned while you were gone, they do it all, and this is for the folks in Seattle, without an air show.
It's true. And, hey, by the way, one of the city commissioners who's responsible for putting this race here with us, even the tower today, first time we have had one of the people really responsible at the governmental level to put this race on, and she's excited. She said, this is awesome. This is a cool sport.
And there have been times in the past when our friend Jim...
You're welcome.
When our friend Jim Kidrick was running this thing, one of his hurdles was a city commissioner for this particular area who didn't see why there had to be boat racing on one of her weekends when they could be people out here paddleboarding. This bay was built, handmade for boat racing.
We've got
that's the reason for the size and the shape and the depth of the water and everything else. It's the only body of water I know of in America that is this big, that was built for boat racing.
Specifically, she's here, her husband's here, the family's here, they're excited about it. You know, you're seeing some 30,000 people out here between Fiesta Beach and Weir, Armour. Every single motorhome spot on the home straightaway is sold. Again, a record in 21 years. This is the largest crowd they've had in 21 years, Steve. There's a lot of things that cause that to happen. Our owners that have brought some great race boats, a lot of them have had a tough time. The media out here has been terrific. Our radio and our TV stations have been out here at 5 in the morning to do stories. A couple of our drivers have been up at 5 a.m. for interviews out here. Everybody's worked together to make this the last race of this season, the best race we've had in Bayfair in a long time. It signals a really strong future for H1 and Unlimited Hydroplane Racing, our friends in GPW, as well as our stock outboards.
I told J. Michael Kelly I was tired of seeing his face on TV. Every time you turn it on, there he was. Seemed to be the darling of the media, and of course Jimmy Shane getting a lot of attention as well. We haven't mentioned Kelly Stockland today, and for those of you who perhaps weren't paying close attention, Kelly blew that thing over, the U18 bucket list racing, got it high in the air. Kelly's been in the hospital since then. Nothing life-threatening, but they want to keep an eye on him. That story got major press,
it did.
not only here in San Diego, but across the country
nationwide
and around the world.
I talked to his wife this morning. She was back here, and he's probably going to be there for a couple of days, Steve. It appears as though there might be some hairline fractures and a couple of vertebrae. Possibly. They're just not certain. He's okay. He's conscious. He's talking. He's angering himself.
I'm sure he's absolutely heartbroken, as we are for him. Had his heart in that boat, and it is badly damaged.
He's a racer. The first thing that you normally ask after a crash is, how's my boat? You know, your body comes second, but a great member of the sport. We sure hope he's able to come back.
Now, it'll be interesting to watch this particular heat, because Jimmy Shane, with little or nothing to prove, will the racer in him come out? Will he go to the front and try to stay there, or will he let the rest of the guys kind of duke it out, settle back into second or third, and come back with an absolute death grip on that national high point championship?
He's got the boat to win this thing anywhere he wants, and so you gotta play it smart, because you absolutely want to lock in the championship, but you also want to win the race. You'd like to go out and win this race, the last race of the season. Last year I was not here, was watching it at home like many folks, and it looked like he had won and had a penalty and got called on the 5. So he's going to stay clean, I think, Steve. He's going to try to win this thing and stay away from everybody else.
You know who's good to do to have a good heat is Jimmy King in the Home Street Bank. He qualified very, very well.
157 and some change, Steve.
Showed us a tremendous boat speed. Hasn't been able to get a good position, a good lane for racing, but if he does, got to watch out for the red boat with a low profile here.
I don't think we've seen everything the Home Street Boat Bank has. The owner of the boat, Ed Cooper, and the family out of Indiana, Evansville area, Posey County. He's got this real sneaks up on you, all of a sudden, boom, bites you in the rear end and wins this thing.
There's a good look at Jimmy King, and a lot of fans across the country, Steve. So glad to have this team back in the sport.
Yep, they're a great addition back to us. They've been out a couple of years, and delighted to have them back. The boat's running great. Ed is absolutely on top of his game, as are all of his team members. Driver Jimmy King. Jimmy's a champion in Grand Prix class and limited classes. His son races boats. They're out of the Michigan area. Truly, I mean, their team members are from all over the United States, and when they get together, it is an exciting, fast team.
You watch Tom Thompson come through the SeaWorld turn right under us here on the pit tower in that bright chartreuse and blue, 11 Peters in May. Then Jesse Robertson came by.
And Steve, look at this right now. You got 3 boats bunched up on the front straightaway. You got the Home Street Bank back here. You got a lot of different strategies going on as to where do you want to be at the right time. Jimmy King thinks he's in the right place in the Home Street Bank. As early as he is, he's going to cut through the course more than likely. You'll be seeing him cut across, head towards the front, and probably come around again to grab that lane. You see the other boats really taking off back there. They're either late or early.
Now Jimmy's going to come all the way through the turn, so he has a long ways to go to catch up with the field, which is behind him, actually.
Now, what he can do, though, is he comes around, and I think he's going to go past the start-finish line, cut past that island, come back around, try to keep it above 80 and be in a great lane position. Because right now, all you're racing for now is position. This is not the race. You're just racing to be where you want to be position-wise.
Just a little ways to go now before the 1 minute mark, and at that time, you want to be on the backstretch. You do not want to have crossed the score-up buoy. So the score-up here is going to be interesting, Steve, because we have boats all over the bay right now.
And Steve, if you take a look at the 7 down here coming up early, out now, I'm not sure what lane, he's going to be early and probably have to cut through again, because you can see the 4 other boats relatively taking it easy over there. Again, you want to be across from this island no earlier than 65 seconds. If you are, it's technically impossible to not average less than 80 to get to the start-finish line.
And, of course, you don't want to go by the magic buoy before the 1 minute mark. Here's a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. No problem on the score-up. If Robertson was legal, and he might have been, he'll have lane 1.
He might be. He was just there. Now he's got to maintain 80 all the way to the start-finish line.
And that's tough. He's going to have to back out of it, isn't he?
He's doing okay now. He can't back out because you don't want to fall below 80. If you do, you got 5 seconds to pick it up. So what you want to watch for is that strobe light. If that strobe light comes on, he'll get a warning, and he's got 5 seconds to pick it up.
Did they give him a warning? He has had a warning. Been told to pick it up a little bit. He's going to be early at the start. I don't see how he can kill
He can't.
enough time.
What he needs to do is save it. Accelerate it, hit wide open, go back around the course, and make a good start.
Now look at the 4 boats behind him. They're lined up beautifully. Jimmy King has the inside, Steve. We may be seeing Jimmy King now show us what we thought we'd be seeing. Out in lane 3 is Jimmy Shane in the Oberto. Tommy Thompson way on the outside in 4, so Scott Liddycoat is over in 2, next to Jimmy King. They're turning down to the start.
They're right where they need to be. 9 seconds at the exit pin is where you wanted to be.
3, 2, 1.
Looks good.
Mark looked good from here, but our angle is very strange. Jesse Robertson was way over the line.
By way over.
And they got to go around him. I think he's on the inside. We got to watch this turn.
We're going to have an official talk with Jesse after this heat, Steve.
We have to have everybody move out a little bit to get around Jesse, and that worries me down in that turn. Somebody got a little bit wet on the inside. That was Jimmy King. He got slowed down a little on the inside, and now the 3 is dropping back. But we do have a boat race coming on to the front stretch. Jesse Robertson on the inside is in the race, but he was way over the line. Now Jimmy King jumps out into lane 3, but he's way, way back. Liddycoat's in good shape in lane 2. Our leader, though, Jimmy Shane in the Oberto out in lane 4. Smoking through turn 2. Came down the backstretch at about 195, 200 miles per hour. He's running way on the outside, Steve David. I believe he's going to just stay out there, stay out of trouble. Scott Liddycoat is going to take the lead now, coming out of turn 2. Coming down to finish lap 1, it's Liddycoat. He has Shane off to his right, Jesse Robertson, who was over the line too early to his left. Jesse racing a pretty good heat here, but he will have to go an extra lap. Now down into turn 1 for the second time. Watching Liddycoat in lane 2 and Jimmy Shane out to his right. See how they are as they turn toward us. You see the white boat in the lead. That is Scott Liddycoat in the 8-11 dig, the 9, and right beside him, Jimmy Shane in the Oberto. Shane swings it way out wide. He's leaving him a lot of room. No problem here. Jimmy Shane driving a race out in lane 5, Steve David, and Scott Liddycoat able to stay with him because he's running a much shorter race course. Now, Shane's going to move over and get over there deck to deck with Liddycoat.
Scott's driving the heck out of that boat. Jimmy's driving his boat. Remember, Jimmy's got nothing to prove other than to run safe and get points. He's still got a final. The 7's not in contention. He has a 1-lap penalty for jumping the gun. He's also got a relatively large monetary fine coming.
Third place right now on the water is the 3, Jimmy King in the Home Street Bank. Fourth place then would be Tom Thompson in the 11.
Correct.
The penalties on Jesse Roberts are going to move him back into 5th place.
Still have a terrific race up at 1 and 2. I mean, Shane's driving his heart out, and you got to know that the 8-11 dig is just pedaling that thing as fast as he can, because to win against the national champion, if you can, is significant.
3/4 of a lap to go for Scott Liddycoat. A little bit of a lead over Jimmy Shane coming off the corner down in turn 1. A half a lap to go. Watch him through this turn now.
You're seeing some superior speed right now on the Oberto. The Oberto's got the top end. All he's got to do is get through this turn clean. The 9's going to be pushing it through this turn.
Liddycoat has the short way through the turn. I don't think it's going to be enough. I think Jimmy Shane on the outside with his boat speed is going to move ahead of him from our angle. Yes, we can even see it from here.
What happens when you tighten up, if you look at the water that's left, the white water, Jimmy did the right thing. He squared off the turn. That brings down your speed a little bit. Perfectly clean, great race.
Checkered flag, Jimmy Shane. You didn't hear anything about any calls on him, correct?
No, he was okay, but the chief referee and I are going to be meeting with Mr. Robertson in the 7. It's too many times this year we've had starts where he's blown it that bad and has affected other boats, so going to have a serious talk about effect races should be conducted. He's a good kid, he means well, but he's going to have to do a better job out here to run at this level.
Heat 3A, our winner, and now I think we can say officially the National High Point champion. The only thing you could do wrong now is say the wrong thing to the chairman and accrue a big fine, huh?
I'm going to get with the officials, Steve. I'll be back up with you for the next heat.
So now the celebration can be official. Jimmy Shane has clinched the National High Point championship technically, mathematically, spiritually, and in every other way. He'll bring the Oberto up the backstretch toward us to the pit area. There'll be another celebration in the pits. Great job in that heat by Scott Liddycoat. Driving that 9, he got a great start in lane 2. Stayed right with Shane through all 3 laps. A little bit too much boat speed off to his right, and Jimmy Shane pedals it all the way to the checkered flag and the 400-point victory. 300 points will go to Scott Liddycoat in the 9, the 8-11 dig. Third place, Jimmy King again had some problems with lane selection and dropped back at the start. He'll finish 3rd. in the Home Street Bank, the bright red boat, and Tom Thompson just coming up the backstretch now, dropped back into 5th place on the water. He will be 4th place officially. So if you've been scoring all day, we'll give you the points as they were scored there. The Oberto and Jimmy Shane scoring 400 points, had 900 previously, according to Debbie, whose points are more official than mine. Total of 1,300 on the day. Home Street Bank, Jimmy King has 764. That's going to be marginal to get him into the final heat, depending on what happens in Heat 3B. 626 points for Jesse Robertson for his 5th place finish. He picked up 127 more. Scott Liddycoat's in great shape. He has 965 points after picking up 300 there for a 2nd place run. And Tom Thompson in the Peters and May, the 11, only 169 points scored. He has 495, and that may make it tough for Tom Thompson to make the final heat. Looking ahead at Heat 3B and the points that those boats have scored so far, J. Michael Kelly, of course, in the Graham Trucking with 660. Any kind of a finish here in Heat 3B, and he will be in the final. Brian Perkins needs a big finish. He has 402 points with the 21. So he needs a good, strong finish here in Heat 3B to make the final. Cal Phipps in the 27, Dalton Industries in a little better shape. He has 599 points. A good finish here will put Cal in the final. And Mike Ekert in the 100s Miss Car Star with 480 points. It would be tough for him to finish high in this field, but if he does so, he could put that boat in the final as well. So the story still to be told as regards who will be in the front row in the final heat. Do we have a new time for the start of 3B? Okay, we're still discussing exactly when we'll have a 5 to the 5, a 5-minute gun, and the running of Heat 3B. We can be fairly sure of a couple of boats in the final. Jimmy Shane, obviously, with his 1,300, and Scott Liddycoat with 965, certainly in the final heat. Jimmy King and his 764 total would look to be in pretty good shape. J. Michael Kelly with any kind of a finish in Heat 3B would move into the final. Cal Phipps, who has been fast all weekend, the 27, 599 points. If he finishes in the top 2 or 3, he would be in the final as well. Miss Car Star, Kevin Ekert with 480, needs a very strong run. And Brian Perkins, who has looked very quick at times, especially in a heat yesterday in which he was set back. And those points that he lost, moving from 1st back to 5th due to a penalty, could be the difference today in making the final heat. He has only 402 points coming into Heat 3B. So one heat of racing still to go before we move to the final. Before we show you the H1 Unlimited final, by the way, we will have the Grand Prix West boats out. The entire fleet here in the bay, I believe there are 8 of them still running, and all 8 will be on the water for the running of the Grand Prix West final. We will have that live for you.
Once again, I got Jimmy Shane in the winning circle.
Oh, another great run by the Oberto. I'll tell you what, we really had to push it that heat against the 9. I had to start way out wide. Like I said, we wanted to stay clean on the start. Didn't want to get mixed up in there with the boats on the inside, and I really had to work hard for that win. Scott's boat's running great. I don't know if I can let him inside of me in the final. I think he might beat me as the water gets rougher, so we're going to have to make sure that we have a nice clean run in the final.
That's what's great about these drivers. They just charged hard against each other as hard as they could and shaking hands and congratulating each other. From my vantage point, standing up there on the pit tower, I could see a heck of a lot of air underneath that boat. Did you change anything from the first heat to the second?
No, I think what changed was that we went from a 4-boat heat to a 5-boat heat, and that just roughens the water up that much more when you have a 5th boat out there chopping everything up. That's the first time we had to run a 5-boat heat with our boats, so we might have to look at our setup and see how we're doing in the rougher water. It was definitely a challenge against the 9, and I'm very happy I got around them there on the last lap.
All right, well, we're going to get off this dock before this gets over us and we get wet again. I'll talk to you in a little bit, Jimmy.
Thank you.
Well, it's become a kind of a regular thing for Kay Brewer to meet with Jimmy Shane after a heat. Of course, he would like to do that again after the final and be the Bayfair 2015 champion. Congratulations once again to Jimmy Shane, his crew chief Larry Hansen, the entire ownership team headed up. All of you fans back in Madison, Indiana, I know the party well underway there, celebrating another National High Point Championship.